The Group C weekend featured two juggernaut teams, Mandatory and Team Liquid, on their quest to secure the last spots in the MDI Global Finals. In the end, it was Mandatory who narrowly triumphed in the weekend due to a world first +24 for the season.
Mandatory stand tall and take down the world first 24 Salia's Gambit.
It's rare that we cover the same dungeon on back-to-back weeks, but the speed, precision, and strategy updates required to pull off this feat, in addition to the circumstances leading up to the run, deem it incredibly important to cover. Mandatory already had a great blueprint of how to do this dungeon at the highest level thanks to Miscount's standout performance in Cup B. But in order to time the 24, they had to make some changes of their own. After dealing with the same first two Goliaths and Murloc packs that Miscount pulls to start the dungeon, they instead only pull one smaller pack of casters on top of the third Goliath, reducing the chance of the enemies to flee into other packs. After dealing with the Goliath, instead of skipping past the final pack that Miscount runs by in their run, Mandatory body pulls the pack and drags it into Hylbrande alongside the 4 Chamber Guardians. Notably, the one and only Fishmancer in the pack is Hunter Trap, so the team don't have to deal with the extra Water Bolt cast during the fight, an extra nuisance to deal with that can easily pick off a player if the team misses a Water Bolt cast. A second freezing trap by the door is placed to instantly re-CC the Fistmancer once it runs down to the room. While dealing with the Trash Pack, Mandatory are able to efficiently cleave it down while also doing as much boss damage as possible, the trash only dying once Hylbrande's already at 25%. The second major innovation saving a ton of time for Mandatory is the pull sequencing in Captain Hooktail's room, where we saw Miscount only pull 2 packs with their Bloodlust pull. Mandatory instead crowd controls one of the Tide Sages on the far right and pulls everything in the room. With 4 Tide Sages and 4 Corsair officers, there's a lot of potential single target damage that could easily one-shot players, but a perfect CC rotation, as well as interrupt rotations every 15 seconds, prevents casts from going off. The only death of the dungeon occurs near the end of this pull. After tanking the mobs for 4 minutes, Skylark finally succumbs to the melee damage of the deckhands. Fortunately, most of the trash is dead by then, and nobody else dies as they're able to battle res their tank, continue on to Captain Hooktail. Doing all of this trash in one pull saves them over a minute, and they're able to kill Captain Hooktail in 19 minutes and 2 seconds. Heading into Salia's chamber, 2 Star Seers stand between Mandatory and the final boss of the dungeon. These enemies pose a significant problem to many teams that reach this far into the key. You obviously want to kill them as quickly as possible, but they also spawn a wandering pulsar every 30 seconds that you'll have to quickly kill before it overwhelms your healer with its ridiculous pulsing AoE damage. Time spent swapping to this ad is time not spent killing the Starseer, causing more and more future spawns of pulsars. In order to combat this, Mandatory has all of their offensive CDs ready to go on pull for the first Starseer, trying to dispatch the enemy as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, the first of the 2 Starseers does manage to cast a third pulsar right before it dies, forcing the team to swap and recover before pulling the final Starseer. However, with the extra time gained from the previous 2 pulls on the first 2 bosses, Mandatory still have 8 minutes left in the dungeon by the time they pull Salia. Even with the noticeable cushion built up from essentially perfect play, Salia is still a behemoth of an encounter to deal with. Depending on push timings, the boss schemes anywhere from 6 to 7 minutes to deal with on the 23 key level. Any death at this point can stop the team's damage in their tracks, forcing an extra intermission, which could cost the team precious seconds. The previous attempt in the dungeon that got this far wiped them on this very boss, 28 minutes into the key. Mandatory, however, would not fall. A perfect CC rotation on Assassins in Phase 1, in addition to immaculate healing from mode through collapsing stars, kept the team alive through everything. Even purposefully healing a 3-stack at some point in order to push the boss into Phase 2 at the correct time. For a team that spent nearly an hour wiping in 20 Eco Dome Eldani on day 1, and nearly another hour wiping in 23 Salia's Gambit on day 2, it seemed like an outside shot that the squad would be able to compete with the dominating performance Liquid had shown throughout the weekend. But the 2-time MDI champions once again were able to show through, as Mandatory claimed the world first 24 key of the season, and reminded us all why they are constantly one of the strongest teams in our competition. This optimization of a strategy that was already innovative in its own right, only a week later, serves as a great preview for the Global Finals in 2 weeks. If this jump is possible for a team in just a week, how many interesting strategies will the teams have cooked up for the finals? How much tech were they sitting on from the group stages? Tune into Global Finals from November 19th to 21st to find out. We'll see you there.